So we got another video going on how to buy your first rental property. So back in 2018, just to share my story, I bought a property, my first rental property for $110,000 out in Jacksonville, Florida. So why I picked that market is I looked at markets that had 10 to 15 years of rental increases. So 2 to 3% every single year. So people are moving there. And then I looked at why people are moving there. You always want to ask the question why. Whenever you find a data point, a statistic, when it comes down to investing or doing research, you want to ask the question why. So come to find out that Florida, with taxes and affordability and it being business friendly, a lot of smart money was moving there. What I mean by smart money is that larger businesses were from the Upper East Coast were moving headquarters or moving their staff down to Florida, Jacksonville, Florida, from the Upper East Coast. And the affordability, the great thing about the West or the East Coast, very similar to the West Coast, I live in here in San Diego, is that you're landlocked. So in Jacksonville, Florida, you have the water to the east, and then you got another state right above you, and then inland or south is the only way to go. So you have this corner of the state that's very desirable. It's on the water, it's on the beach, it's flat, which is another thing that's very desirable. So a lot of people are moving down to Jacksonville, Florida. So that's a huge plus. And then you want to look at rental property. So the rental property in that market meets a 1% rule. So what I mean by 1% rule is that when you look in these markets, and you want to look at the market before you start looking at the rental property. So in these markets where it meets the 1% rule, that means that these properties, if you buy a property for $200,000, then you are able to rent it out for $2,000. So what that means is that it meets a 1% rule, which is the rent on a monthly basis, 1% of purchase price. So this is getting a little more difficult to find because home prices have appreciated and rents haven't kept up. So you've started to have this disparity, this gap in home prices versus rent. Like in San Diego, home prices are $1 million, but rent for $1 million house is $5,000. So you have that's a 0.5%, or yeah, 0.06% or so of a rental. So you have this huge disparity in rent, so it's hard to cash flow. So you want to look for these markets where you meet a 1% rule, because when you go get a long-term debt, long-term financing on these properties, you have a higher chance of that property cash flowing. So you're able to pay off the mortgage every single month and have a little bit left over for what's called cash flow at the end of the month, which is why you want to invest in real estate and rental properties, is because the tenant is paying there to live, and paying your mortgage, plus a little bit of money into your pocket for taking the risk, and if any maintenance expenses come up, or to manage these rental properties. So for rental properties as well, you're not going to get wealthy owning one rental property. What I say is going to change is the fear of owning property. So buying your first property is always the most difficult. But once you buy your first one, it's rinse and repeat. You're able to buy 2, 3, 4, and just duplicate the model. The same thing over and over again. And I like to say, it's like building a brick wall. You just lay one brick over and over and over again. The act of laying the brick is the same thing over and over and over and over again. So you add time and pressure to that equation, and pretty soon you have a wall. So that's how you want to look at investing. It's a long-term 10, 15, 20-year play. So what I mean by that is, if you have a long-term vision to invest, and you want to own 10 property, 20 property, well, work backwards. So owning 20 property, it's going to be difficult to manage all of these property. The reason why a lot of people don't want to be investors or be landlords is because they say they don't want to get calls in the middle of the night for their tenants. Well, who's the communication barrier between the tenant and the landlord? The property management company. So if you want to own 20 rental properties, work backwards. buy your first one with a well-established property management company, because you're going to own 20, and it's good to start off on the right foot. So buy your first property with a property management company, and make sure that the numbers work by having a property management company taking their fee. So if they charge 8-9% to manage the property, underwrite that property into underwrite that percentage into your rent, so you are still cash flowing. Because then once you get into 5, 6, 7, 10 rental properties, that's a lot of families, right? You're renting to families, to people, and that's a lot of people, a lot of problems. The more families, the more people that you have in these properties, the more potential problems are going to arise. So you don't want to be the communication between the problem and the tenant. You want that to be on the property management company. So this is kind of just a ramble here about real estate and everything in general. So I'm going to keep doing more videos of this and just keep pushing out things that I've learned over the years of owning properties. So hope you guys enjoy. If you do enjoy, if you're still on this video for 6 minutes, subscribe, hit that little like button, and I'll keep doing these videos. Thanks.